Life is sweet. Let it sweep you off your feet.
Hi, this is Allie and Find Your Joy. Oh my gosh, what a delight I have for you today. You're going to be very excited, I know. You get to meet the amazing, the incredible, the lovely, the cheerleader to all people, who is Yayoi Komiyama. Welcome, Yayoi.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you to say that. I'm very flattered.
Oh,
Um, yes, I am Yayoi Komiyama of the Brain to Belly Facebook group and also of many other groups.
yes.
Um, yes, I'm a life coach. I'm a transformation coach as well as a brain health trainer with Dr. Amen. I've got lots of things. I'm also an ICF accredited coach. And what else? I am also a Tony Robbins senior leader, and I do all this. And the common theme is that I
Yeah.
love to serve people. And
Mm.
Brain to Belly was created from that. My passion is I've always had an issue with my weight. As a kid, I was always a heavy kid and I got bullied a lot as well.
Mhm.
Also, I was living here in the US. Um, I guess, let's see, where I was also, I was here in the 70s, early 70s. I was here as a kid and coming from Japan and, looking like this. So, of course, kids in my school would tease me about the way I looked, and I
Yeah.
got a little bullied, but I'm not saying that I'm a victim or anything, because at one point in my life I bullied back, so it all balanced out.
Kids
I
can
just
be mean.
Yeah, and you know what? I was protecting myself, so it was like it was equally, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, so and I guess food became my friend, and it also became a way to protect myself. And I've struggled with body image and my self-worth because of all of that growing up. And that's where Brain to Belly came in, because I had struggled and finally gotten to a point, you know, this was maybe 10, 20 years ago, that I really, really found that I can do this without struggling with the food or struggling to have food be more of a neutral thing, not be a friend
Ah,
to cover my pain, or something that it's nutritional, but also it's also something I can use for social occasions. Like I could go out with my friends and we can share a good meal. And, I'm a foodie. I love good food too. So I love going out with my friends. I live in New York. So
oh my
there's
gosh,
some,
endless choices.
I know, and there's something called Restaurant Week twice a year. And it's where the restaurants, a lot of famous restaurants will have Restaurant Week menus, which are a little cheaper than what you would pay normally, right? And some
Oh,
restaurants, I can't afford. So I'm like, Restaurant Week, we're gonna go during lunch or
yes.
whatever. So you get at least a flavor of what it's like. And see, you could tell I'm very passionate about food. And so, but it's also to work that in and to be able to enjoy the food, enjoy life,
Mm,
instead of, struggling with food and how I was going to burn the calories and all this and that. Because at one point when I was struggling, it was all I thought about was food, what I was going to eat, what I wasn't supposed to eat, right? But I
right,
wanted
right.
to eat.
Yes,
Also, going to the gym and how would I would burn the calories that I ate, because I
right.
ate too much of something, or it would always be unbalanced and I would feel guilty about eating something. And now I can say I don't feel guilt about eating anything, which is
Right.
so liberating. And that's why I created Brain to Belly as a way to, and I've also
Mm,
had 20 plus years in the wellness industry helping other women and men, get a healthier opinion about the whole process, about weight, about their body and things like that. And even if it's a little bit, if I can help anyone to feel more comfortable about that
Mm,
and to feel more empowered and feel love for themselves,
yes.
then I, that's what my goal is really. And I get very passionate about this because
I love that about you. I love that that it's just who you are. When you were saying earlier, and then I'll get back to the food thing, but when you were
yeah,
saying earlier the things that you do in coaching and the education and the training that you've had, I thought it would just make sense because I'm now, of course, I didn't know you before you had this training, but I'm guessing that who you are naturally is a person who is passionate about whatever it is you're passionate about,
yeah,
and and you're very willing and excited and to share that and to and I get that. It makes sense to me, and it's so natural with you. It's not sometimes when people sometimes it seems less natural, but this is just very much who you are, and I love that. And when you were talking about the food, and of course I really understand that because food has been, I come from, like most of us nowadays, I
yes,
guess. I come from, this trauma informed life
yes,
and food, what I was just going to say, food was my friend, but you know what? That wouldn't be a really correct that wouldn't be so correct because a friend is nurturing and loving and we have
right,
fun together.
right,
If it was a friend, it would be one of those unhealthy friends that you're worried that your kids would hang out with, right? And you'd be thinking, I
exactly,
don't, I'm not saying that's a horrible person, but I don't think they bring out the best in you. And I think it would be very much like that.
yes,
And food is the one thing that we do that is necessary that we might misuse in a way, some way, right? And
yes,
that's the one with food that, if I drank too much, I could stop drinking, and if I was, watching too much TV, I could just stop TV or
right,
stop drinking or drugs or whatever, any other thing that I might use to help me cope with life.
yes,
But food, we can't just stop eating. So then it's
no,
this thing where we really need
yeah.
to learn a balance.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that's why, I say with brain to belly, it's so that people can change their relationship with food because
Yeah.
technically I would have had this, like you said, it was a friend and a foe. At
Yeah.
points in my life, I used it to cope because I didn't want to, it didn't talk back to me, and it gave me comfort when I ate certain foods, right? Like comfort foods and things like that. And also it was like for me, I used to say that I create my armor of fat because I didn't want
Mm.
anyone hurting me anymore,
Yes.
you know? And I used to call it my armor because I'm very much a tomboy too. So that's why I guess I called it my armor of fat. But um
But I think that's
and
that's a good, sorry, but yeah,
yeah,
I get that.
yeah. And I think it all started and I don't blame my mother for this or anything, but she used to tell me this that when I was a baby and she would be too busy, because she was also helping my dad with his job and business and whatnot, that if I started crying, she would say, "Oh, let's just feed her," right?
Yes.
Because, a busy mouth is a quiet mouth, right?
Yes.
So, so she would
Oh
just
my
feed me. So
gosh.
she said, that maybe that's you got into the habit of eating because of that too. And I think you learn as a kid, you learn different things. And those are bad habits that I learned, right?
Right.
And
Right.
And I just had to, realize that I had to change that instead of getting listening to all these different things about, oh, if you fast, you'll lose weight, or if you do all these fad diets, you'll lose weight. Because
Yes.
I started dieting probably when I was like 12.
Right.
Yeah, I would go do all these different diets. Uh, the full disclosure, I did the original Atkins diet when it first came out, when you had to pee on a stick.
Can still do that with keto, baby.
Yeah, yeah. And I did that, and I was like, yeah, I did that. I did grapefruit diet. I did apple diet,
Remember the
where you
soup
just,
diet?
yes, I
It
did
was just
cabbage
this big
soup.
the cabbage soup diet, and
Yeah,
you
I did that.
and then there, you know, and all of them, you know, it's like you said, if we could just for a minute, let's visit for a minute. I love
Yes.
the armor of fat. I I relate to that one. In fact, one time, I'll tell you this. So my weight has fluctuated. I mean, you know, I've had 10, 15 years straight, sometimes of being so fit and everything. And then something happens and I don't even realize something's happened. And all of a sudden, hey, how'd I get fat again? And my girlfriend and I talked about back in so we're close in age. You might remember chubby sections in
Oh,
clothes
yeah.
for kids.
Oh,
And it
yeah.
actually said chubby
Chubby.
section
I
on it.
remember that.
I know. And you know, and it would be time for us to go shopping and everyone else is shopping somewhere in the family. And then your mom has to take you over to the chubby section. You're going to go, ooh,
Yep.
I just, but you know, and then it would have this really like kind of cherub looking cute little fat girl
Yeah.
that was there. And she was the chubby section girl. She had a little twinkle in her eye. Oh, doesn't she look happy, that little chubby girl? Oh my gosh. But if it's okay with you, like let's
Yes.
stay here for a little bit.
Sure.
This armor of fat, because I relate to that. And what I was going to say was I was with someone once, and I was at a very fit weight,
Mm-hmm.
fit size and stuff, and we'd walked into this, and I'm a singer, and we'd walked into this place, and I was going to get up on stage and sing, and the person that was with me said, "Every guy in this place is staring at you." And they thought they were complimenting me. And everything in me just I felt like I got kicked in the gut.
Yeah.
And I thought I remember thinking, I can fix that.
I know exactly what you're talking
I
about.
can fix that. Because as you know, my book's all about trauma. I don't go into depth about it because I don't feel the need to, but
Mm-hmm.
I've had some rather extreme sexual trauma in my life, and abusive stuff happen.
Yes.
And then it was hard to be a young woman. It was hard to be, because you want the boys to think you're cute and you want the attention, but you also know how horrible that can be when it goes
Exactly.
sideways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I totally relate. When you said that, I don't know, I cringed inside
Yes.
when you said that, because my heart just hurt when you said that. I know that sounds weird, but
It
I
doesn't
was like,
hurt because we understand each other.
yeah.
Anyone who's been in a situation, and I'm going to say this, I am, this is not about toxic masculinity. I don't really like that phrase
Mm-hmm.
myself, because I think that just groups like I'm going to say anybody with a penis, like men are
Men, right.
offended. Most men are offended and horrified and angered that a woman would be raped and abused and
Of
things.
course. Mm-hmm.
That's not about toxic masculinity. That's a
No.
crime.
Yeah.
That's a horror, right? And so it's not, I always want to say that, because I think often, you know, I never want anybody to be feeling like I'm talking to you. I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
My brothers wouldn't think that was okay. My
Yeah.
husband wouldn't think that's okay. My male friends don't think
No.
that's okay.
No. Right.
So, but yeah, you want the attention, especially, you know, like now, not so much. I'm married many decades and stuff like that, but
But
it's
I hear you. Yeah.
confusing and it's
Yes.
hard.
Yes. And for girls, I mean, when you're young, it's really difficult, because yes, you want people to think you're cute.
Yeah.
You want them to feel like they're attracted to you, and you feel good. And especially if it's somebody you like, you're like, I
Yes.
want that person to like me. I want that
Yes.
person to feel like, say, you're so beautiful, you're so cute, whatever, whatever,
Absolutely.
because you want to feel loved. And and then when things go sideways, as women, we all, I'm sure all of us have experienced it one way or another.
Yes.
um you're like, oh my God, what did I just do? And then that
Mm,
layer of fat, that armor of fat comes in handy, because then you're like you said, I could fix that.
I can fix
And you
that.
know that with food you can do that. And the layer of fat kind of like, or the armor kind of protects you from that, because you're thinking, well, and then if I don't put in a makeup on, or if I don't look nice, or if I don't take care of my appearances, then nobody will find me
They
attractive.
won't see me.
Yeah. And then I won't have to get hurt again.
Mm,
And it's a perpetual cycle, and it's very difficult to live in keeping that balance and
mhm.
finding that for young girls. I'm sure, I don't know, I'm not a boy, so I don't know, but I'm sure boys in their own ways experience something similar in that,
Absolutely, they do.
yeah. And I think anyone could relate to that, because it's getting that unwanted attention, and being told you're something that you really don't feel comfortable about. And as kids, we don't know that it's okay to say, well, I don't feel comfortable with you saying that, because then everyone's laughing. All of a sudden you go, well, I'm not comfortable saying that. And all of a sudden everyone's quiet and looking at you
Yes.
like you're like I don't know, something, like,
Yeah, the killjoy.
yeah,
Here she comes.
yeah,
Oh, she's got to get all serious about
yes,
things.
about
And
it.
why
Yeah,
can't she just shut up about that? And because we're still learning how to create our own boundaries, and we're still learning, especially
exactly.
at that young age. And
Oh,
I was thinking, I have 7 brothers
oh,
and
wow.
and 1 son and 1 grandson and several male friends. And pretty much all of them at one time or other have shared with me their whole thing. Like, guys are like, am I too tall? Am I too short? Am I too skinny? Am I too fat? Am I strong enough? Am I
Yeah,
fast enough? Am I athletic? Am I not? Like, there's, I
the
mean,
same.
and if they
Mhm.
didn't have it before, baby, they are catching up now, because everything's
Oh,
all
yeah.
about that in
Yeah.
media, right? It's,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
armor of fat.
yeah. Yeah. So that was my way of coping with a lot of things. I didn't want to get my heart, hurt again. Because, I
Yeah.
mean, and kids can be vicious, as you know, and they tell it like it is, because they don't have the social skills to kind of like, you know, learn that you can't say certain things to people, or you shouldn't say certain things in a certain way to people, because it could be hurtful. They don't know that, so they just say whatever comes to their mind. Because,
Yeah, and not even the truth all the time.
yeah,
Sometimes it's the truth for sure, and sometimes
right,
it's just,
what they hear on
we're
media.
upset, and we just,
Yeah.
if whatever, it's like a dog gets, nips at somebody before thinking. And when we're younger, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we haven't experienced the
Exactly.
depth of how much words can hurt yet.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think it's really, I don't know, education definitely, and also people that have, it's funny because as a kid, because I was hurt, I could understand when somebody was hurting. So I became a bully at one point,
Yeah.
because that was my way of protecting me.
Mhm.
And I knew how to be a really good bully, because I was bullied before. I
Right.
knew what to say to hurt somebody really well. And I'm not bragging about it,
No,
uh,
we
but
learn these things,
yeah,
and we can
yeah,
learn and be taught beautiful, wonderful things, and some really crappy things.
yeah. And I think, because I went to both sides, both extremes, you know, it, it it helped me to learn a lot about both sides, and why people do this things that they do. Like the bullies are the bullies because they're afraid too. You know,
Yes.
that's their coping mechanism. That's their way of protecting themselves. And, but it also comes down to finding that balance where we can teach kids just to love,
Yeah.
and to love, anyone and anyone. Because, I mean, of course, good and evil do exist, and
I
people that
know,
are
it's so
evil. I
it's
know it's
so
hard.
hard.
It's hard.
It's
It's hard.
hard, right? Like,
Yeah.
I want my kids to love people and to trust people and to have good relationships and, oh my gosh, but don't talk to strangers, and
Yeah,
it's so complicated.
it is. It is.
But I
And
get your meaning here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's very difficult. And but it's balance. It's also it's really hard to, like, you say you want your kids to grow up with freedom, but then you also know that you have to kind of have a loose fence around things,
Yeah.
or else, because as a parent, you want to protect them. And it's that it's really, I guess, it's hard to create that good balance between protecting and letting them be free.
Yes.
And it's not easy. Definitely. I mean, I don't have children, so I don't know, but even watching my niece and nephew, or other people's kids, I could see that. And it's trying to find that place of love and communication, I think, is also
Mm.
key.
Yes.
Yeah, communication. And even kids, they have their own thought process. So you can't dismiss it as, well, you're just a kid, so you wouldn't know. You can't say that to a kid.
No.
And I remember when I was a kid, I, I don't know what incident it was, but something happened where I said to myself, as an adult, I'm never going to forget how it feels to be a kid, because
Mm.
I knew that nobody took me seriously. And
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
I didn't want that. So I said, I'm always going to listen if a kid says something, because they have their own thoughts.
Yep.
This was me, I think, when I was 11 or something. I was thinking, no one understands me. No one, takes me seriously when I say this. And I said, when I grow up, I'm going to listen to what a kid has to say, because they're thinking in their own way and they have feelings of their own. So I
Wow.
said, I'm going to make an effort to do that. And
Mm.
I think I am, I try to be
Yeah.
aware of it.
You are a person who, I would say, like, I've had the opportunity now to be in a few meetings where people are sharing several, a wide variety of things that people are
Yes.
sharing. And I've always noticed and really admired that you can just tell by your face that you're hearing what the people are saying, and you're listening to what the people are saying, and that you are a person who, I don't say cheerleader lightly. I don't mean it in a rah rah shish kumbah kind of a way, but I think that there are those people who see something in another person, and it might just be a wee ember, and they fan that until it becomes a flame. And I would say that that's something that you walk in very well.
Thank you. That's one of my goals in life. It's
Hmm.
funny you should mention that, because I do daily incantations and affirmations in the mornings. And one of my thing is, at the end, I say, I am blah, 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 all this and that. And I say that so that each soul that I encounter, so that each soul that I encounter can shine as brilliantly as they are meant to, so that I
Mm.
can be the person that can let them shine as brilliantly as they are meant to be. And I
Mm.
believe that everyone has a light within them that's beautiful. And I want to be the one that brings it out, and to be able to have them realize, become aware that they have that light,
Right.
and that they can shine as brilliantly as they want to, and it's safe for them to do that. And I want to create safe environments, and Brain to Belly is one of those that I feel, should be a safe environment. And I'd like to create a safe environment, because when you're not in a safe place, you don't feel comfortable enough to tell people who you are.
Mm.
And, it's fragile. you know, I don't like being attacked. But I also know that by doing things like this and speaking up, speaking my truth, not everyone's going to agree with me. So I'm going to have people that say, what is she talking about? She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's
Right.
crazy, right? Or whatever. And I guess, you know, I've lived long enough also to know that I don't care anymore. You know, I,
I'm
I
that
passed
cute
a
kind
certain,
of crazy to hear about.
yeah, yeah, I'm, past a certain age, and, you've gained, I'm past the half century mark for sure. So it's like, okay, I've lived this long. I know, what people are like, and I know that not everyone's going to like me, and that's fine, because then that just means that they're not my people. They're not people that I need to associate with.
Right.
And I also firmly believe that, you are the people that you surround yourself with. And I try to surround myself with good people that help challenge me at times, which is important because I don't want to always be comfortable, because I'd get bored if I were comfortable. If I were rehashing everything I always said, it's important that somebody challenges me occasionally. I have friends that do that, like question me and say, well, I hear what you're saying, but have you ever thought of it this way? And I'm like, huh. I never thought of it that way, but that you have a point there, right? And I like that sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes I like that, just to be honest,
Yes, yes, of course.
because it gives me a different perspective. And, my perspective isn't always right. It may be right for me, but it may not be right for somebody else.
Right, right.
Yeah.
When we're thinking about the brain to belly part of it,
Yes.
and I love that there's so many layers of it, right?
Yeah.
There is like it's going to take us definitely more than one episode to unpack it. So there's the part about just what am I trying to say here? Not having fat as an armor anymore, right? Like not,
Right.
but
Right.
it's not even really about fat or not fat. It's about a relationship with food, and
Yes.
it's about a relationship with ourselves. It's
Yes.
about a relationship with understanding who we are and who we who we are now, who we want to be, and how those match or don't match,
Yes.
and the steps that we're going to take to get there. And
Yeah.
then the other part I think that with brain to belly is maybe, and maybe you could
Hmm.
let me know if I'm in the right area here, is some of what goes on in our belly and how it impacts our brain health, how
That's
the two are
good.
so connected. So
They are.
I'm guessing
They
it's
are.
part of, I mean, I know
Yeah.
very much how food, I mean, I'm a person that has lots of sensitivities and allergies.
Yes.
So, but, so I'm like the canary in the mine shaft. I know
Hmm.
quickly what happens to me, but
Yes.
maybe a little bit about how that our gut health actually impacts our brain. And I think this is all part of it, right?
Yes, it is. It is. And yeah, it's not just, yeah, definitely how you think about yourself is going to affect you, and you have to learn who you are and things like that. But what you put in your mouth and goes into your gut totally is going to affect here your health as well, your brain health, because like I said, the brain it's such an important organ, and I think it's only lately that
Mm.
society and media is really focusing on it. I think it's only in the past 2 years that I've heard a lot about brain health, and I'm like, oh, finally, right? But and I think it's really important because what we eat definitely is going to affect here. Like for instance, when we eat empty calories, as I call it, would be like a sugar loaded snack bar,
Mm.
or something that isn't, yeah, that's like a candy bar, for instance, or even a
Mhm.
Twinkie or whatever, any of those
Right.
things, right?
Anything high in sugar
Sugar.
and
Yeah.
right.
And the sugar is going to go here, but it's not going to really function in any way. It's not benefiting your brain at all. And the white sugar also does not do anything for your body. You don't
Right.
feel full, for one thing,
Right.
because usually anything that's has a lot of sugar in it, like even diet soda, not diet soda, I mean like regular soda with sugar in it. There,
Mhm.
I'm not sure, I forgot the exact number, but they're like, I think 3 to 4 cups of sugar in one can of, soda,
You know,
regular soda.
in the large things, I remember
Yeah,
doing wellness fairs, and they would
yeah,
have these things where there would be
yeah,
like a can of pop and a this size and then a
yeah,
that size. And then even things like just basically any food or drink that you can think of. And then it would have the little package of actual sugar
yes,
to
yes.
get the visual of it.
Yeah, and it's frightening when you look at
It
that.
is.
And I remember looking at that too because I still work for a wellness company, and I have my 20 plus years in that wellness company. And it was about, trying to help people get to a healthy weight.
Mhm.
And, weight is important, but it's also more important what your dimensions are and how you feel about yourself. Because no
Mhm.
matter how skinny you get, like let's say, I don't know, for my height, I'm like barely 5 feet, right? I
Mhm.
always say when I get up first thing in the morning, maybe I'm 5 feet, maybe, but I'm probably closer to 4'11" now that I've gotten short, shrunk and all this
Yeah,
and that,
yeah.
right? With age and gravity. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
And so according to these charts, I think optimally, I don't know, they say like 90 something pounds. And I'm like, I don't think I was 90 something pounds even when I was in fourth grade or
Yeah.
fifth grade, right? I
Yeah,
don't
those
know.
charts are
They're
very,
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah,
they are.
yeah. But, people think that they have to be a certain weight. They have
Yes.
this certain number. And I was obsessed with that number as well for a long
Right.
time. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get to that number because my body shape is different as well. I'm more muscular. Um, and I'm also I don't have the long and lean body. I have more of a muscular, strong body, right?
Yes,
So I'm
yes.
like, that's who I am, and I've come to terms with. I've understood that, and so one size doesn't fit all. And I deviated from what I was going to say, but
No, but it's a great point. Anyways, it is a great point because we do, what's the first thing? I mean, I don't know how many men do it, but I can pretty much guarantee every woman's done it. Like, type in how much should I weigh for,
your
and
height, yeah,
exactly how much should I weigh for that? And I'm like, my left thigh weighs more than that. I mean, I'm just like,
and
but it's
they go
true.
measure this, and it should
Man,
be this,
oh, I
and I'm like,
know, and do
huh.
all these things.
I'm like,
And I now the bounce what they give you, and most of them are almost 20 or 30 pounds, and even then they might not be. I can remember when I was like thin, like thin that everybody was worried about me thin. Hard to believe, maybe, but there was many times in my life I've been there. And I can remember a person that I knew, we were visiting somewhere, and the woman was a nurse, an RN,
mhm,
and talking about how thin I was because for whatever reason, people seem to feel like it's okay to. That's another thing. People,
yes,
women who are thin, people seem to think it's okay to just talk about that and talk to them about that. And I think it is so bizarre because they
it
don't
is,
come up to me and tell me how fat I am, but when I was thin and my friends and family who are thin women,
yes,
people just think that they have the right to talk about that like it's nothing. And it's just so weird. But anyways,
it is.
I digress.
That's okay.
I was at my aunt's place, and my
Uh-huh.
aunt's a nurse, my mom's a nurse, and this person who was visiting was a nurse, and we were chatting, and the conversation got to at that time how thin I was. And and I said something, and the person said, like, you don't even weigh 100 pounds. And I said, oh, yeah, and at that time I said, well, I weigh about 135, 140 pounds. She told me I was lying, first of all, and actually walked me, went over to the scale.
Oh my
And of
gosh.
course, I was a younger person, so so there was no throat punches involved. I did it, and I weighed about 140 40, I don't know, I weighed 100, I don't really know, between about 135 and 140. But I looked really like I was too thin.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But I'm 5'5" and muscular, and I, skinny for me can be around 150, 160, or
Yeah.
like around there, right? And or really a healthy kind of, I don't
Right.
really
A
know right
healthy
now
weight.
because I'm
Yeah.
older, but at the time, when you're younger, it's different. I had more muscle and things like that. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, but I just remember them going, she was so pissed off. She actually said, "Well, you're still too skinny anyways." And I was like, so I've just weighed 40 pounds more now than you thought I did. And we're still going to talk about how skinny I am,
Yeah.
not how weird it is that you're obsessed and dragging me to a scale. What a weird thing to do to a young woman.
Yeah.
But
I think
anyways,
it's all those biases. I think it's with society, and I think we have to train other people. Now I'm going to go to the brain and belly part, but we
yeah,
have to
it's
also
good.
train by doing this and, talking about it. We have to train others that it's not okay to comment on the way somebody looks because they look too thin or they look a little chubby or whatever.
Yes.
No. I mean, you don't like being told that. Do you think somebody else is going to like being told that? I'm like,
It's
hello. I'm like, would you want somebody saying that to you? And you probably don't. I mean, I don't think anyone wants anyone saying, oh, like I remember my my ex-husband's grandmother, right? She would say, oh, you're not looking as fat as usual.
oh my God.
And I'm like, and then when you're young, you're like, God, I just got stabbed in the heart.
Yes. Oh my God.
And
Well, it's just,
you don't think that and I never thought of myself as that bad, but when she said it, I was like, oh my God. And then she gets angry at me because I didn't eat her food, right? Because I'm trying not to eat too much either. And she goes, what? Isn't my food good enough? Or like, does it taste bad? I cooked this for you. And I'm like,
oh
oh
my
my God.
gosh.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that.
Yeah.
And it's like, when you don't know who you are and when you don't know that it's okay to be who you are,
Yeah.
each of us is different. And the
Yes.
people that say that have their own issues and they're just projecting their own issues onto you. But I didn't know that as a kid. I mean, as a 20-something-year-old, I didn't know that. I
We
thought it
don't
was
know
okay.
that, right? We
Yeah,
don't
I thought it
know. And
was
then
okay
it's,
for her to say that because it's grandma, right?
that's the whole thing. Oh my gosh. You know what I'm going to do? I'm, uh, if it's okay,
Yeah,
because I just feel like a whole other thing coming here.
yeah, go
And and I don't want to stop it. And if
ahead.
you're able to join us again, if that,
Yes,
does that work for you?
of course, of
I'm
course.
gonna, because there's a whole thing here that we can get into that's generational and
Oh,
cultural, and like
yeah.
it's just, so for now I think I'm gonna get us to um stop here so that
Okay.
we can, because I just see it going, like we haven't even scratched the surface, girl.
Well, we're having so much fun too.
I
So,
know, I know. I don't want to stop it. I don't want to stop this. And then I thought all of a sudden, oh my gosh, I guess I better. So, oh my gosh,
yes,
Yayoi, thank you so
of
much.
course, of course.
Oh my gosh, it's
Yeah.
such nuggets, such nuggets in here. This is just amazing. You are a treasure and you
Oh,
are
thank
such a
you.
gift. And I'm
Thank you.
so grateful that you can come and hang out with us, and that I'm gonna hijack you for another one. I'm just so excited about that.
Well,
Oh,
it's my
so thank
pleasure.
you. Thank
And
you
like
so
I
much.
said, it's my passion. So,
Yeah, well, it shows and it glows. And so this is Ali and Find Your Joy. And thank you everyone so much for coming and hanging out with us today. Yayoi and I we're having a good time, and I hope that you are too. Uh, this is Ali. Bye for now, and do remember to find your joy. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found a piece of your joy in this episode, I would love to hear about what came up for you so that we can continue to grow the impact of this show. Thanks again. See you soon. And remember, find your joy.